There is a story whispered in certain corners of this imagined royal world, a story suggesting Meghan's path toward the palace did not begin with a charming blind date or a simple love story. According to those who claim to have watched it unfold, her ascent started in the quiet, dimly lit lounges of Soho House. The velvet booths, private rooms, and hidden spaces where influence moves silently and doors open for the chosen few. For years, this tale remained buried. No one dared voice it. No one wanted to admit how Meghan was introduced, guided, and positioned long before Harry ever stepped into the picture. But now, according to insider whispers, Sarah Ferguson, once pushed out of the royal spotlight, is preparing to speak. She is said to have seen Meghan in those early Soho House days, recognized the circles she navigated, and understood the path she was building toward the palace. And in this storyline, the whispers claim Fergie didn't just witness it. She may have helped shape it. This is where Meghan's panic begins. Because if Sarah Ferguson talks, the fairy tale cracks. Sarah Ferguson has carried many labels over the years: chaotic, reckless, unpredictable, scandal-touched. But people forget one thing: she survives. Every stumble, every humiliation, every tabloid headline. She always finds a way back to the surface. And that is why, royal watchers say, Meghan made her greatest mistake when she chose to overlook her. Sources claim Meghan thought she could rise above everyone, cut ties, and leave people behind once they no longer served her. But Fergie is not someone you sideline. She is someone who remembers, someone who waits, someone who holds stories. And the whispers grow darker. Those who spent time around both women say Meghan and Fergie share similar traits: ambition, hunger, and the willingness to climb past anyone who stands in their way. But there is one critical difference. Fergie has decades of royal battle scars. Meghan does not. And now Fergie is said to be watching her with the sharp gaze of someone who recognizes her younger self and knows exactly how to strike. This is where the threat turns real. According to publishing insiders and royal contacts in this narrative, Sarah Ferguson has been quietly discussing a tell-all. Not a gentle memoir, but a shockwave capable of embarrassing the monarchy and dragging hidden stories into daylight. But there's a twist. Sources claim the book wouldn't just expose royal secrets, it would expose Meghan's. Stories of how she entered elite circles. Stories of who opened doors for her. Stories she hoped would never see the light. And the palace knows it. Word drifting through the corridors suggests King Charles feels uneasy, willing to offer small concessions to keep Fergie from blowing everything wide open. William, however, is said to be unmoved, refusing to negotiate because he has nothing to fear. But Meghan? She has everything on the line. The tension surrounding this book has nothing to do with old mistakes. It has everything to do with what could happen if certain truths finally rise to the surface. Most people still believe the charming public version, that Meghan met Harry through a simple introduction, and a fairy tale romance bloomed from there. But according to those who claim to have witnessed the real timeline, that's not how the story began. The whispers say Meghan was already navigating elite social circles long before Harry ever appeared. And Sarah Ferguson, in this imagined narrative, saw those movements up close. She knew the faces Meghan interacted with. She recognized the connections. She understood the pattern. These circles weren't accidental. They were curated, guided, constructed. This is why Fergie's voice is dangerous. She can trace the thread all the way back to the start. In this storyline, Meghan didn't simply stumble into royalty. She was directed toward it. To understand how she reached the edges of the crown, you have to return to the place where the doors began to open. Soho House. This wasn't just a cafe or a trendy lounge. Insiders say Soho House acted as Meghan's gateway, the first major step into influence, a world she could never have accessed alone. And at the center of it all was Marcus Anderson, described by those who knew him as a connector, a gatekeeper, a man who could place people exactly where he wanted them. He is said to have guided Meghan, introduced her to the right circles, and positioned her for greater opportunities. But Marcus was not the only force at play. Word from wealthy insiders claims Ron Burkle, a billionaire with long-standing ties to high-profile families, also played a role. His name was linked to private flights, exclusive invitations, and the network that carried Meghan upward. And these names matter for one reason. Sarah Ferguson knows every single one of them. She has lived in this world for decades. She understands its architecture. She has witnessed these carefully crafted pathways before. And according to the whispers, she can trace Meghan's ascent step by step. From the velvet sofas of Soho House to the introductions that changed everything. This is why the palace grows uneasy. Because if Fergie speaks, the polished romance dissolves into a strategically engineered rise, a story never meant for the public eye. Here is where the narrative turns personal. Those close to the situation say Sarah Ferguson once reached out to Meghan, expecting friendship, solidarity, perhaps even loyalty. After all, they shared memories, moments, and circles no one else understood. But Meghan did not respond. No calls returned. No messages acknowledged. Sources claim Meghan believed she had outgrown Fergie, that her newfound elevation meant she could leave certain figures behind. But Fergie is not someone who fades quietly into the background. The rumor in royal circles is that Fergie felt insulted, humiliated, and discarded. And for a woman who has spent her life weathering royal storms, this is not something she forgets. The rivalry isn't born of jealousy. It comes from recognition. Fergie sees a younger version of herself in Meghan, a strategist, a climber, a woman moving with purpose. But Meghan made the fatal mistake of believing she alone could play the game. Now, according to insiders, Fergie holds the match, and Meghan sits on the powder keg. While the tension between Meghan and Fergie grows in silence, the royal family itself splits behind closed doors. Whispered reports suggest Sarah Ferguson's threat of a tell-all has created two very different reactions inside the palace. On one side stands King Charles, weary, cautious, and acutely aware of shadows from his past that he does not want exposed. Sources claim he fears that if Fergie speaks too freely, old scandals and delicate arrangements could resurface. Because of this, he may be willing to negotiate, soften, or quietly give in to keep her calm. Prince William, however, is said to be different. Those close to him report he refuses to bend, refuses to appease, and refuses to reward Fergie for holding the family hostage with secrets. He has nothing in his past tied to her, nothing she can threaten, and he stands firm, confident, and unmoved. This divide creates a pressure inside the palace like a crack forming in stone. On one side, fear. On the other, defiance. And caught between them, without protection or support, is Meghan Markle, the one person Fergie could expose without harming the monarchy itself. And that is where the danger grows. Here, the story enters territory Meghan never wanted touched. According to insiders, whispers suggest Meghan's path was not always aimed solely at Harry. Some say she once sought proximity to Prince Andrew first. If true, it would mean Harry was not Plan A, but Plan B. Rumors like this, whether accurate or not, are amplified because they come with witnesses, individuals who intersect with Fergie's world. Even Meghan's wedding guest list, sources claim, reflected this tension. Certain people were allegedly excluded, not for scandal, but because they knew too much, and she could not risk them being present, seen, or photographed. These are not online theories. They are quiet murmurs from those who move in the rarefied circles of power. And if Sarah Ferguson confirms even a fraction of these whispers, Meghan's carefully curated image could collapse like a stage set struck by a single spark. And now we reach the pivotal moment where all threads converge. Sarah Ferguson stands at a crossroads. Her Duchess title may no longer hold real power, but her knowledge, and the stories she could tell, gives her influence like no crown ever could. Her place in the royal family has slipped. Her protection, her influence, her standing, all fading. And according to those who study her patterns, a woman in that position becomes unpredictable. A person with status fights to defend it. A person with nothing left can destroy everything in sight. Fergie has survived scandal before. She has been judged, ridiculed, and pushed aside. She does not fear headlines. She does not fear outrage. She does not fear the noise. And now, she holds something far more valuable than jewels, titles, or invitations. She holds Meghan's story, the real story, the one before the fairy tale, the one whispered in private lounges, forged in hidden introductions. Sources say Fergie can trace every step, from Soho House to Jamaica, all the way to Harry. And Meghan knows it. This is why the panic is real. Not because of public opinion, not because of slipping popularity, not because of scandalous headlines, but because the one woman who watched her climb is now the one who could bring her down. And as the tale reaches its tense conclusion, one truth lingers in the air. When a secret is kept, it has a master. But when a secret is revealed, it has a victim. And according to those closest to the fire, Sarah Ferguson is ready to speak.